Oops.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of things that I love about Frank, and one of the things was that when I first heard his voice, he seemed like this big, burly guy who was like, you know, could take anyone out in a heartbeat. But then once I met Frank, it was really comforting because to me he just seemed like a gentle giant. And I went up and I gave him a hug, and it was just these warm arms that wrapped around me. And it was like another version of home, but instead I was in Washington. So that was really nice.
Thank you.
My name is B. Weiser Dixon, and I'm from Kansas City. It's good to see everybody here. And I want to share a little secret that Greg and Fred have in common with me and Frank. And I won't take it long, but I didn't catch it. I was a Sphinxman, I was a pledge. I went to Rolla during the Martin Luther King uprising and all that kind of stuff. And I would ride home with Frank and Fred on the weekends. And, you know, I'd hear them talk, And Fred said, I'm going to teach you how to point. And I said, now, if you know me, I'm, kind of street kind of guy from there. I said, what are you talking about, teaching me how to point? So I said, okay, you're going to teach me how to point. All right. So if you guys don't know how to point, this is what I remember Frank about, Fred and Greg. You get down like this, and you point towards whatever. And I have a souvenir which I'm going to give to you that talking about the gentle giant. Now Greg, nobody want to get swatted by Greg, and Fred, my God, nobody want to get swatted by Fred. I mean, he swings a mean paddle. But here comes the gentle giant. He broke his paddle. And he came by, with that gentle smile that he had, and he said, I'm going to give this to you. But I didn't even think about it today, but I'm going to bring you the paddle that your uncle broke on my behind. While I was trying to play a show.
Oh, boy.
So that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
That tradition no longer exists.
Thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth needs to hear that especially. That no longer goes on.
It was great to do that, and I was sorry I couldn't make the ceremony in Washington, but Frank and I have been friends for a very long time in high school, and we went to Central High School together. And I brought a Centrillion, a yearbook from 1966 when we both graduated. We were seniors then, and it shows some of the embarrassing pictures from high school that people always try to avoid. But there's some good pictures there of the activities that he was involved in, and some of the things that he did, and both of us in there. So I've also brought some of the Rolamo yearbooks. I think you've probably seen a lot of those, so if that's not interested, that's fine. But I had them, I've carted them all over the world, and I brought them back here, and now they came in kind of handy when I look back and see who's been doing what. Okay, so again, thank you very much for inviting me here. The strength of the wolf is in the pack. The strength of the pack is in the wolf. Mm-hmm. When I went to Rolla, these guys know that we were such a special group, and I was kind of like also one of them. But the guys there were very special guys. They were brilliant. They had a lot of understanding of themselves, and that's the one thing I know and remember about Frank is that he understood himself so well for a long. When we were young and stuff, he did things that you probably didn't want anybody to repeat, but he kind of understood, where he was going at all the time. When we were in high school and we played football, and he understood, okay, where the end result of all this is going to be. So that's the one thing I always really liked about Frank. He could always understand where he was going and stuff. And we did a lot of things together. We like I said, and we were played football together, and that was a heck of a year, heck of a time for us. We were one of the first African Americans to play on the football team, and then he was a starter from day one, you know, because he was just good. They couldn't deny that, so he was just good. And Greg acted like he was, you know, just he was good also. I mean, and it was just a matter of breaking into the lineup, because we were one of that team. That year that he won, we were 7-2, and that's the best Raleigh has ever done before that. It was a good year. We had brought a lot of people together, and Frank was one of them. He was the anchor, and in practice, that's the last thing you wanted to see. Was as a defensive back, I was, you know, I had in charge of pass protection and run protection, and during practice, that's the last thing you wanted to see was Frank come around the corner with his eyeballs looking right through in the face, because that's all he had to do was run him over. That was all he had on his mind. So either get out of the way or, you know, take the hit. So, but you always understood, you know, where he was going, and it was when you saw him in practice and playing, you see that, and you see how very good he was. He was quick and agile and strong. One incident I like kind of helps you understand that in that same room that Greg was talking about, we had bunk beds, and one time Frank was sitting on the top bunk, and another roommate, another fraternity brother who always seemed to want to harass him, you know, about something. He was calling him Fat Frank, and that's, oh man, that's, and he was just kind of teasing him, but he figured he could get out the door before Frank could get down. So he called him that a couple times. He was just teasing him and stuff. And well, it was a blur. The last thing he saw was Frank coming off that top bunk and beating him to the door. And he was standing in front of the door by the time he got there, and he was like, "Oh my God," you know. But you know, it was just that type of atmosphere where you could push him to an edge, and then everybody move another way. But I always remember that, and so does Goodwin. Goodwin always, he never did that again. Also, like I say, I brought some things about the team, and there's also a DVD here that I got they sent from Raleigh about that winning season that we had, and it talks about Frank and him becoming an All-American too. So if you like some copies, I can certainly make that for you, make that available to you. But our fraternity there saved my life. When I went to Raleigh, I thought I was pretty smart, but I was not even close to what you needed to do to succeed down there. But the folks down there, the fraternity brothers and the rest of the team, helped me to succeed, and that's why I say the strength of the wolf is in the pack, because that's what saved me, and I think a lot of other folks, because we were able to be together, and they tell you, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it, and that was the end of it. That was it. You just had to do it, and you had to succeed if that's your aim. So a lot of us were able to do that because we had so much help from Lawrence, which has been, again, an anchor for the fraternity down there. A lot of us would not even come close if it wasn't for Lawrence. But the other part of it was all of us together, circling the wagons when we needed to, and we also talked about the time we're in, the times out in the 60s, how enlightened people were not down there. So it was really an exciting time for us. The last thing is that Frank stole my girlfriend. Yeah, back in high school, and I can say Frank, knowing himself, you know, we were seniors in high school, and everybody thought they were. One day he came to me and said that all's fair in love and war. What does that mean, you know? And that was it. Sure enough, a couple of days later, you know, I'm without a girlfriend. And Frank is gone. But you know, it was, and it worked. You know, in high school that happened all the time. But it was funny because he was. But I always remember that he was a great guy. I really enjoyed his company. I really his friendship and also his guidance and really helped me out a lot. So he will be missed. When I left Raw, I went to the service, and so we got kind of disconnected from all my fraternity brothers. But I spent most of my life, most of my 20 years in the service, I spent 15 of them in Europe and Asia. So I didn't get a chance to mill around and get close to them like I wanted to.
Tell them what you were doing.
Well, I was doing things that I like doing. But,
he was flying an F-16 fighter jet.
Wow.
yeah, that was great. I mean, I can't say anything more than that. That's why I stayed in so long. They kept giving me my assignment, so okay, I'll stay.